This is Coach Lee, and we are working on speech anxiety, and we're talking with Saji. Say hello, Saji.
Hello,
And
Internet.
Saji, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from, and you think would be pertinent in short form.
I'm Saji. I'm from Virginia, and I have lived here my whole life, basically. I'm currently feeling a bit under the weather, but not too bad to not do the call and improve my speech. Because even though I'm sick, the anxiety lives on. And I've been in the program taking these calls for 4 or 5 months now. And the
So what
last
have you done in those months?
joined speech club meetings, joined SAM meetings. We've talked. I've, been doing the affirmations, the crutch uses. And the last call that we had was, I think, my most progressive. I think it really.
Did you say you've been reading aloud?
Yes, I've also been.
How much?
Less so now because things have been really good. But
How much?
I try to read at least once a day, half an hour to an hour.
Okay. And mind training treatments.
Yes.
Have you been doing them?
Yes, I have been doing
And
that.
how long does each one take, roughly?
10 to 20 minutes.
Okay. And how many do you do a day?
I do once in the morning and once at night.
Okay. Have you memorized the crutches by number? Any of them?
Not all of them. Yes, a few of them. You actually gave me 2 crutches to hone in on last call.
And what was that?
Which was crutch 11, which is speak like a king, or is that?
Yes, that's it.
Yes. And then I don't remember the number crutch, but it is short link stop. That's
okay. Well, that's really a speech plan.
Yes.
And what speech plan do you use? Short link stop. Okay. Now, the big questions.
Yes. Hit me.
Before you ever heard of us.
Yes.
What describe your stuttering pattern at that time?
Before I met you guys, it was the worst it has really ever been or had ever been. I was stuttering on average probably 80% of the time in every conversation. Obviously it was a lot more with authority figures.
It's hard to be much more than 80%. There's only 20 to go.
Fair. That's a fair point.
Now, when you say you were doing it for 80%, what were you doing?
It was blocks mainly.
Okay, blocks.
Yes.
And before you met us,
yep.
What did you do about it, if anything? If you were talking to me on a street corner and I didn't know you, or not me, but anybody,
I would.
What would I hear? And what would you do? I would hear blocks, and what would you do about it?
Try to push my way through it.
You would force the word.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and so forcing word, is that what you mean? Like that, sort of? Okay. Mm-hmm. How did you find out about us?
I read a stuttering book by Paul Brockenhurst, and through him, I found out about your book, and then I read your book, and he was in your book, and I was like,
"Whoa!" Yes, he did he did a foreword to one. I've done about 6
Yes.
books now. He did a foreword to one of them.
Yes, it was the one that was really huge, the really big book. That one.
Yeah. I did one even bigger after that.
I don't even know how that's possible.
I don't try to do that. It's just, it is what it is, you know. I'm
It's
just
great
trying to solve
that
the
it is
problem.
big. Yeah.
So when you heard about us from Brocklehurst, tell me what you did. What were your step 1, step 2, steps 3, and time frames?
Time frame is a little bit longer than I think the average person in the program, and that's because I had built up a lot of fear and anxiety over the course of my life, and it controlled every action that I made. So it was really me
You
doing.
sound like you never stuttered in your life, you know. You sound like.
Thank you so much.
I mean, that's the truth. Keep
Um,
going.
I did. So the thing that really helped me initially was affirmations. Um,
So
and
wait a minute. Give me chronology. You found out about from Brocklehurst. When was that?
yeah.
What did you do?
After that, I emailed you,
Okay.
and then you emailed me back, and I was like, well, I didn't think that was going to work so easily. And then,
I'll teach you.
and then, yeah, there you go. And then you gave me contact to Danny, and we had a one-on-one call, and that initiated me. And at that point, I had already read half the book. So he kind of initiated me into the program, gave me an introduction into everything, and then I began to join the speech meetings, the SAM calls, and then we had a one-on-one. And when I began to take
And so
the
wait.
meetings,
About when did you email me and talk to Danny? Roughly, how long ago?
probably September. Yeah,
How much?
probably September was the month that I reached out.
Okay. So I'm going to say, let's see, October, November, December, 3 months ago. 3 months ago. And then after you talked to Danny
Yeah.
and had finished reading my book, what did you do next?
I joined the calls and I began to implement the
Joined what?
affirmation. Sorry?
Joined what?
I joined the calls that you guys have every day.
Oh, you joined, you mean the SAM meeting?
That and the speech club calls.
I mean WSSA. Did you join World Stop Stuttering Association?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay, and did you was the mobile app available then?
Yeah.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And that was that around the same time? Was that around September? Was that later?
Yes, that was around the same time.
Okay. And so um roughly speaking, you have been reading aloud 30
Yes.
minutes a day, roughly, and you've been doing twice daily mind training treatments, about 20 minutes each.
Yeah.
The 4-bed and honor rising. And you've been using some crutches for approximately 3 months. Is that true?
I'd say 4 now because
Okay.
it's January now. So
Okay, 4 months. And now,
yes.
what percentage of your conversations, global, all of them, 100%, at home, at work, to your friends, to your enemies, to strangers, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
of everything,
Yes.
it was 80%.
Yes.
What is it now?
Now I'd say 20%.
What?
I'd say 20% now.
All right. Okay. And what are the nature of your problems when you, what do I hear? I'm not hearing anything.
It's less blocks and more repetition, I'll kind of go like, yeah, and I took the bus. If I'm anxious, then that's kind of how it comes out.
Okay. Um, okay. So how many times have you talked to me?
This is probably our like fifth or sixth call, I think.
Okay. Um, have they helped?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, look, so much of life. Well, I should ask you just in general.
Mm.
Uh, what do you have a job? And if so, I mean, what do you do for a living?
Oh, I'm the guy that does the podcast online.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
What kind of podcast is that?
It is video content. So I will talk in front of a camera about different topics, different trends going on in the internet sphere. Um,
Why
and
would I listen to your podcast? Why would I listen?
uh, because I would like to think I'm a pretty captivating person.
Okay.
And the insight I sort of add to different topics, I think, can be
You said
pretty
video
valuable.
content. Video content.
Yes.
What is that? I know what those words mean, but I don't know what it means. Why would I want video content? You look at me.
Well, I
I
don't
have
know why. I don't know why
an
you
iPad.
would watch my age demographic is usually around people in their 20s. So it's
Okay.
like about stuff
Why do
that
they?
happens.
Why? What do they want to know from you?
Um honestly, I don't know sometimes, but also I think it has to do with um I provide a very genuine sort of um like it's hard sometimes to know where to get good information at times or who is really advocating for you in a way. Um and I think I provide a, s- a sense of comfortability
What
because
was that word? What was the word?
comfortability.
Oh, comfortability. You made
Yes.
that word up. That's cheating.
Comfortability? I swear that's a word. Is that not a word?
Comfortability is not in the dictionary. But
Really?
comfort is being comfortable, being able to be comfortable, but there's
Okay.
no word in the dictionary for. But that's okay. You know,
Comfortability. Okay. All right.
you people get to make up words. That's how languages evolve.
That's true.
Um,
That's true. That's a good point.
so um, you provide information.
I
Um,
I would equate it to like a late night TV show, like an entertaining but also educational front.
and why is it entertaining?
Because I try to be funny.
What? Because what?
I I try to be funny.
Okay. And give me an example, not necessarily that make me laugh, but I mean,
Oh God.
in what way do you make people funny?
Um, I it's just a comedic take on delivering news. Um, I don't know how else to kind of describe it. I don't
Okay.
know if you've seen like John Stewart or anything like that. Uh,
Okay. So um, I've always had great respect for comedians because it takes, I think, some of the smartest people ever
mhm.
have been comedians.
Yeah, I agree.
In all this talk, the hardest person you'll ever meet to fool about stuttering, you're looking at them.
Mhm.
And that's because I've done over 10,000 hours of coaching in the last 10 years. Plus,
Wow.
I did it on and off for decades before that. But I've done it all day, 7 days a week,
Yeah.
7 days a week. And I don't feel punished, abused, or I'm not asking for applause or anything else. I enjoy doing it, and I I like to win. And
Yeah.
the only way I win is if you stop.
Mhm.
There's nothing else that you can do that's going to make me happy, happy as stopping stuttering. There's nothing else you can do. So now, in listening to you, until I got into in-depth questioning, your speech from the standpoint of stuttering, from the standpoint, I should strike that, from the standpoint of fluency, forget stuttering. You didn't. There was no sign anywhere of any disfluency for the first, I don't know how long we've been on the phone or the call here, but you've done about, I don't know, five, maximum 10 words
Mm.
that you pushed a little bit in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In the first 10 or so, you did nothing. There was no trace of stuttering. Now, that's what we're trying to get to. Now,
Yes.
is that perfect speech? No, it's not perfect speech. And mine's not perfect either. I've never heard perfect speech, and I never will, and neither will you. And so I don't ask or expect you or me to be perfect in speech or anything else. But what I do ask you to do is what I do, and that is not appear speech disabled. Don't appear to be struggling to talk. You don't need to. We're going to stop that. But
Yeah.
Saji, you can't stop 95% of it. You got to stop 100 of
Yeah.
fear, not mistakes. I make mistakes and repeat words or force a word once in a while. But it's not fear driven, Saji.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about, oh, I can't communicate. That's not in my head.
Mhm.
I know I can communicate, Saji.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything you can't and shouldn't do. And not, but you can't go halfway with it. You got to stay with it until you not only, until your goal is you want to love to speak under pressure. You think talking to me is on a scale of 10, you have today,
Mhm.
where do you have the most pressure right now?
Today? Where, like, as in when in the day?
No. Well, yes. When and with whom? Is it with me? Is it with a stranger? Is it with girls? Is it with crowds? Is it when you're on doing your podcast? Where is it?
It's definitely when I'm out in public or in a new place and have to converse with new people. That's probably where I
Public,
feel the
strangers. What
yeah.
else?
Um, that's pretty much
Okay. How about groups?
groups. Yes, groups. I'd say anything where I feel pressured to talk to new people is
Is your podcast one of those places?
no.
Good. Um, when you came to us, before you came to us,
Yes.
was your podcast on the list?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, since you talked to me today, have you used any crutch or any speech plan? And look, don't give me answers that you think are going to make me happy.
Yeah.
Give me answers that are true, because I can't help you if you don't.
I've used Crutch 11 today with you. And then short link stop, not as much. But if I get stuck, that's where I try to go.
And today, have you used any crutch or thought about any speech plan? I don't care if the answer is no. I just need to know.
Have I
Is the
thought
answer
about it
no
today?
or yes or what?
Have I thought about it? Not actively, no.
I didn't think so. Um, okay. So basically, you're not using crutches or speech plans with me. Now, what percentage of your words have you had to maneuver around and you think, therefore, may have sounded a bit choppy to me or if there was some stranger sitting here, it would have sounded a bit odd to the stranger.
What
Maybe it's
percentage?
better to think of a stranger than me.
I'd say 10%.
That's high.
Yeah.
That's way high. Look,
Okay.
Saji, you can't set, if you're a high jumper, I have
Mhm.
a brother-in-law, my wife's brother was all-American in track. And back in his day, he high jumped around 6'11". And
Wow.
since then, they've gone up to like 7'1", 2 or 3. He was like first, second, and third in the United States.
Yeah.
At one, he didn't even finish college, but he did that while he was there. He had to work, but they had to make a living. So he quit. But you and I are not going to high jump 7 feet.
Yeah.
And it is pointless to try. We set the bar at 2 feet, and then maybe we go to 2.5, and then maybe 3. And maybe you'll get to 4 feet or 5. I don't know. And I'll get wherever I get. The thing you can't do is grade yourself. Say, well, I'm not doing well in the high jump. Let's say you got to 6 feet, which would be one hell of a jump. And you say, I'm not doing very well because the world record is a foot and change higher than I am.
Yeah.
But Sanji, you got to stop that.
Okay.
You can't be thinking 10% because it's nowhere near 10%. You're judging your speech too harshly. You've got to be bad grading can keep you stuttering till you die. You've got to say to yourself, hey, unless I'm clearly disfluent
Mm.
to a stranger, not to someone who's heard you stutter and said, oh, I know Saji, he stutters. I mean someone who's never heard you talk. You're clearly disfluent to them. That is a bad incident. Anything shy of that, you go, way to go, Saji. Nice job, mate.
Yeah.
Another trophy for Saji. Today, you get a trophy. Not because you didn't make a mistake or didn't maneuver on a few words. You did. But I heard you talk.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 10%. I'll guarantee you that. You might have had 2 or 3 jammed together and then nothing for a long time. And I told you, for the first 10 minutes, you didn't do a thing but talk like you never stuttered in your life.
Yeah.
You got to go, way to go, Saji, mate. You're not appearing disfluent. You've done nothing today, Saji. Now, what you've done individually, every word, all the words you said to me, if I were a stranger, I would never think that I was talking to a stutterer. You understand that?
Yeah. I do.
Okay, well, you've got to accept that.
Okay.
And does that mean you can't try to be better? Of course not. You can be better and you will be better.
Yeah.
But you got to change some things you do and the way you think about it. But you cannot and you must not grade yourself down for repeating a word once in a while. Nobody cares, Sanji, except you. Nobody's listening to it. Most people, if you do it, they don't hear it.
Yeah.
If they hear it, they don't care. And they don't think, oh, Saji's stupid or Saji's, got some problem. They don't think that.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, they don't ever remember you ever did anything.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
And that's the way it is. So where's the problem? The problem's with you, Saji, and the way you think about you and your speech.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything that I haven't done. And you're not doing anything that any of the people you come to at SAM, everybody there, with a couple exceptions, who are directors or something, everybody there is a stutterer or was. So there are a lot of fluent people there, don't you?
Yeah.
Good speakers, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And all these people stutter, probably a lot of them more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it is. Now, so grading is number one for you. You've got to stop grading yourself down.
Okay.
So that's number one. Change your grading system. Okay. Now, The other thing you got to do, well, you got to do a number of things. The other thing you got to do is not have a, a not have to maneuver around any words.
Mm.
Because as long as you're maneuvering a little bit, you're at risk of blocking or repeating too much.
True. Yeah.
So stop maneuvering around words. Now, how can you do that? You've got to change what you think when you speak.
Yeah.
I'm writing I'm making notes.
No, you're good.
Because if I don't make notes, I mean, I can find notes on you. I have files on you.
Mm.
I just don't, I'm sitting in front of one computer. I can't bring up other things. Change what you think when you speak. All right. This is very difficult until you learn how to do it.
Yeah. Yes.
And there's nothing more important than this. You know why? Because all of your life, every problem that you have can be intercepted, molded, changed, and mitigated, if not totally eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
When you take control of your thinking, and no one does it 100%, but the more you do it, the higher your percentage gets. So the question is, what do you need to think when you speak? And I find stutterers to be, in many cases, very bright. And it's so odd, that I sometimes wonder if intelligence isn't part of the problem, because there's so many intelligent people who seem to get into this pit and they're overthinking their problems. And now, there are a few basic rules that we need to follow.
Okay.
You say, well, how do I change what I think when I speak? Follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Think the rules. So we're going to think about what are the rules when we speak. Now, there are two things that I'm sure I've said this to you before. There are two things that you have to be able to say you can do. And one of them is I can say any word, any individual word, Saji, Lee, Pittsburgh, United States, stuttering, doesn't matter what the word is. I can say any word, anywhere, anytime, to anybody, any group. I don't care if it's television, worldcast, or you're talking to your mother, or your sister, or your dog, you can do it. You got to be able to say you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, there's no word, none, that I can't say anywhere, anytime, anybody. If you know crutches 1 through 8, you can do that if you know how to use them. 4 and 8 are the easiest ones. All of them are helpful. 1 is the most popular, the most common, and so forth. It's far from the best. 2 is every stutterer does it. Synonyms, similar words and phrases. It's too hard under pressure, but it's okay in some situations. But in any event, 4 and 8, if you're using 4 has multiple parts. It's insert a sound or insert a word and connect it as it's one word. Saji becomes, well, Saji, now I swallow the S a little bit. Well, Saji, Well small Saji.
Gotcha.
Or well Lee, Well small Lee. Well Lee, so
Yeah.
Lee, and Lee. It's one word. And when you that's crutch four, now you can insert a sound, do the same thing. Saji, Saji Ali, so or Lee,
Mm.
Methodist, Stuttering, Michigan. I insert a sound or another word. Look, Saji, when you're blocking on a word, you or
Yeah.
anybody, it's always one word,
Yeah.
one syllable, one letter.
Mm.
That's it. And every other word or sound you can do. So you just don't say the problem word. You say something else. And
Yeah.
Lee. So what's your name? Well, Lee. So Lee. So Saji. 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 No, no, nobody thinks anything about that.
Yeah.
And I can do it. I can say, Saji is my friend. I want you to meet him. This is Mary, and Mary, this is Sue. I'm now holding my tone through all my words, but
Yeah.
which goes a little bit farther. So you can say those are the easiest ways to say any word. Now, I think you've answered me yes in this, but I don't have my notes. You can say, you believe that you can say any individual word anywhere, anytime without forcing it. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Say any individual. And the next one is the conversation. And that's where we get into the problem.
Yeah.
Because, Sanji, the longer you talk without a stop, the harder it is
Yeah.
to avoid a problem.
Yep.
So you speak in short increments. The greater the pressure, the shorter the increment. You keep doing this, you keep talking all day long to a huge group. You say anything that you need to say in short increments. The shorter the increment, the easier the speech.
Okay.
You get to say how long it is.
Yeah.
But you must stop for at least 1 second, 1001. If you only stop for half a second, one, and continue, that's a continuum. And you're getting closer to stutterer's cliff every time. Everything you say, the longer you talk, the closer you are to going off, one way or another. So you need to be sure that you're speaking, your speech plan is short link stop, and that's the most basic and simplest plan, and it's the easiest one. But you've been talking to me until I started this little bit a lot today, and you haven't been using your speech plan.
Yeah.
You haven't been using the crutches, and you've had about 5% forced words. Unfortunately, that's not good enough.
Yeah. 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 I got
The
you.
beast, you're keeping him alive,
Yep. Yeah.
and you can't do it. You can't do it. So, what does that mean? You got to think something else, and you're not doing that, Saji.
Mm.
You're
Mm.
not doing it. You're
Mm.
not thinking your speech plan.
Yeah.
So, whose fault is that?
It's mine.
And
That's mine. Yeah. No,
exactly.
you're right. That's,
So,
yeah.
I can't do it for you. And it becomes a question of discipline. I know you want to do it. Why aren't you doing it? Because you have a habit built on for years of not doing it. So
Yeah.
changing the habit is like I'm asking you to change the way you hold a golf club or tennis racket. It's very difficult to do when you've been doing it for years. So when you start talking, anything in the nature, the first time the thought of a problem pops into your head, or maybe even before it does, you and I should talk to each other short, link, stop
Let's do it.
right now. And I don't want you to say another word to me, except when you think short, link, and stop. And that's 1 second stops or longer. 2 seconds is fine. 1001, 1002. 3 seconds is okay. Then continue. That's fine. But you must be at least 1,000 between every speech increment. And then continue. So let me ask you some questions and you demonstrate that for us. Okay.
Sounds good.
Tell me about your parents, siblings, where you grew up. I don't mean their names or anything, but tell me anything you can that you think would be helpful and interesting to know about your life growing up.
I live in Virginia and have lived here almost my whole life. My parents grew up in Florida, in Miami, and they moved up to Virginia because of my dad's work. He's a doctor and was able to get a job here in Virginia when I was around 5 years old. I am the oldest of 3 brothers, and they both grew up in Virginia. So I am the only one who was able to experience Florida as a kid. So we've all been up here in the cold state of Virginia for our whole lives. And I came up to school here, up in Richmond, Virginia. And then my parents came up to Richmond as well. They've been here with my brothers for the past 2 years.
Stop. Have you noticed you have not forced or worked around one word since you started?
Yes.
Why, Saji?
Stop.
Don't you do this?
Short link, stop.
24 hours a day.
Yeah. Okay.
You've got to change your habit, mate. Once your habit is changed, you won't even need the speech plan.
Yeah.
But that could take 6 months or a year and a half. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I can't do this for you. You got to do what you just did, mate. Now, the only criticism I would make of what you said or how you said it is your stops were a little shorter than I would like them to be. Not quite 1 second. Stronger stops. You know something? This is going to improve your speech everywhere, especially on your podcast.
Yeah.
You're going to come across as more believable, more compelling, more interesting, more in control, more confident. You will.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Now we can improve what you just did by lengthening the stops and thinking some other things, but I'm not going to suggest that now because I want you to do what you just did between sessions all day long.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is a huge discipline. And if you have to write this down on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket and put it on the back of your cell phone or something, that's fine. Short link stop, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
And when you're on your podcast, man, what a great opportunity to practice. If I were you, when I did my podcast, I would have these words this big, short, link, stop. I would have that right under the camera or right beside whatever it is I was reading or my notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Look at it. Don't just talking to me is not going to change anything. You're going to be the same guy.
Yeah. I understand.
It's all about what you do. You're changing your way of thinking.
Yeah.
about speech. And look, stuttering is a symptom. It's not a cause of anything
Yeah.
except problem speaking, but it's a symptom of other problems. And we have similar, you and I have similar problems. And but everyone else has the same problems. They just manifest themselves in a little different way, or they have less of what we have and more of something else. But I mean, when I was, how old are you?
I am 22.
22. When I was your age, if you just said 18, I would have said when I was your age, I felt grossly inferior. I didn't like the way I looked. Um, I was very interested in girls. I was a good dancer and a good singer. I sung on the stage and stuff, and I didn't stutter. But that's all I had going for me, you know. And otherwise, I felt inferior, and um, I worried, you know. I just will say I felt inferior. Period. And when I got to be around 22, I was married, and I had two kids, and I was broke in law school at your age.
Mhm.
And I went to night school, and I worked during the day. My father was not a rich man, but he was a lawyer and a successful one, but he was not rich and was able to pay for law school. But I had to pay my other expenses. And so I had a job, full-time job, and I worked sometimes 2 and 3 jobs. And I went through law school that way, and I got out when I was 24 or 5 or whatever. And I think I was 24. And I got a job. Of all things, one of his clients decided that he liked me. In those days, I wasn't as ugly, and this, this guy liked
Gotcha.
me. And so he said, Lee, I said, I want to hire you as a salesman. I said, his name was George. And I said, George, you can't afford me. And he said, why is that? And I said, because Senator Kiko from California just offered me a job as his legal assistant for $7,500 a year. The average starting lawyer was getting $5,000 in those days. And I said, he offered me $7,500, all the money in the world. And he said, I'll offer you $9,500. I said,
Wow.
you're kidding. Again, I'm married and I got 2 kids. And I got a car payment, you know, all the problems. And I said, why would you do that? He said, because I want you to be general sales manager. I want you to go out and go door to door. He said, I know you're going to have no problem selling our product. It was an electronic device that interconnected the telephone and switchboards and paging systems. And it
Awesome.
was a very simple device. And he said, I want you to do it for like a year. And then if you do what I think you'll do, I want you to be our general sales manager and open offices around the country. And I'll pay you more for that. And I said, you got yourself a guy. I had a 90-some% close rate. It was an easy thing to sell. You could have sold it in your sleep. So, so he makes me general sales manager of the company, raises my salary to 14.5. I'm now making 3 times what
Wow.
the guys coming out of law school were making. 3 times. And
That's great.
so my father said he was not getting any younger, and as fate would have it, he died within about 3 years after this. And he said, look, I would like us to practice together a little bit. Can you get George, your client, to let you practice some with me, you know, because I'm practicing alone, and I can give you some cases and
Yeah.
we can do, you know. So I asked George Tomadio, I said, George, I need to work with my father a little bit. And he said, okay, that's fine. His company was having trouble. This company was in Boston, and they were having troubles. And eventually they did go broke anyway within a couple of years. And so he was good enough to say, yeah, go ahead and do some stuff with your father. So I started working with my father. And next thing you know, I had my first case in court. And this is the one I wrote about in my book, where I couldn't say a word. I couldn't say my name. I couldn't say my client's name. It was a disaster.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, I'm not kidding you. I thought I did think about suicide.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I
Yeah.
was going to save myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nobody believed me. My family, I never stuttered at home, not a word. And nobody in my family believed I stuttered. My father heard me in court. He couldn't believe it. He never said one word about it. But I know he thought, oh my God, my son. And I had a pretty high IQ and I had good scores and all that stuff. But what if you can't talk, you can't talk.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So that's when I went to a psychiatrist and I started working on self-hypnosis. And it all comes down to training the mind to think different things.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you know some ways to bail yourself out. You've learned some ways from us, some more, maybe you knew a few, but you've learned a lot more from us. Isn't that true already?
Yes, it is.
And so you made progress, but you still got one foot in the stuttering world.
Yeah.
And we got to take it out. And the only way you're going to get it out, it's kind of like a dope. I've never taken dope or any kind of drug, and I'm not a big alcohol guy, so I don't understand these obsessions, you know. But it's kind of like that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's subconscious, and so
yeah.
somehow you've got to, number one, you've got to stop worrying about the mistakes you make. Number two, you've got to stop maneuvering around all words. And that means you got to use your speech plan 24/7, like you just did it.
Yeah.
And any time you have to maneuver a word, shut your mouth and say, uh-oh, Saji is not staying on the path.
Yep.
Saji is off in the ditch here.
Yep.
So let's get the car back on the road and start again with the speech plan. And the greater the pressure, the shorter the increments, the longer the stops, the tighter the links. We haven't talked about linking. I don't know how you are at linking, but you were when I said, please use short link stop, other than your stops were too short, you did so well. I really don't feel any urge to work with you on linking.
Yeah.
With some people, that's the main problem.
Okay, understood.
But I don't think it is with you. I think your problem is the discipline of everything's going great, so you stop thinking about the problem, and that's
yeah.
And then you do it.
Yeah.
And
no,
then
you're right.
The first time you hit a word, you got to shut up.
Yeah.
And get on the speech plan. And for now, I'm asking you to try to stay on the speech plan as much as you can all the time. Try and make it the way you speak all the time.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That sounds good.
And if you do this, then the next time we speak, I'm going to ask you to do what I asked a guy yesterday to do, who is doing very well. And he is a major smart guy with MIT and Stanford. He's a major smart guy. And my message to him was, think message and smile. I said, I don't want you to think anything else. And you're close. That's why I thought you were there last time we talked, or I wouldn't have been pushing crutch 11, because it's sort of a precursor to message and smile. That's kind of like the short handle for when you really got it licked.
Yeah.
No, Saji, let just for fun, let's talk to each other for a minute. And be when I say think message, Saji, I mean be as animated as I can be. You say, oh, Lee is way over the top. I don't want to do it like he does it. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Be over the top. That's what I mean by message. Okay. And smile.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't utter when they smile. They can't do it.
Yeah.
They try. So I want you to be as animated as you can be, and smile while you do it.
Okay.
And if you use your hands, that's fine too. If you bob around, let yourself have natural movement. You're not a robot. You're not a mannequin. You're not glued to your chair. You're too still when you talk. Get some life. Now, let's talk about a different subject. Tell me, what is the most, and I want you to do it thinking messages. Oh, man, I want you to be way over the top.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
tell me, what do you think is some of the most entertaining things that you've ever seen or done or thought?
Entertaining things. That, Lee, is a great question, and I'm going to answer it for you right now. I have recently been doing improv acting, and I began doing that after I joined the speech program, and it has really shown me the importance of trying to deliver the message and put a smile on your face while doing so. Because when you're doing improv, there is no time to think at all. You're completely put on the spot. You have to walk in, you have to have a character, you have to have a line, and it would be great if it was funny. So with that pressure, it almost isn't even pressure in a way because the amount of time that there is to think is so small that it's almost an exciting feeling of, oh, I just have to do it. There's no
Okay,
time.
stop.
Yeah.
Stop. You're doing pretty well on the over the top. Could you do more? Absolutely. But you're doing much better with that.
Okay.
You're not smiling.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
You haven't smiled yet.
Oh, no, you're right. I haven't smiled. You're right. You're right. You're right. Where was I? So yeah, I've been doing it for 4 months and ish now, and it's been
You got
really,
great
really,
teeth. I'm just seeing them for the
it's
first time.
it's been really, really fun, and I've been having a great time. And I performed my first show in front of a live audience in October for Halloween. For Halloween. Sorry,
Oh, my
it's so
birthday.
unnatural for me to smile and talk. I've never done it before. Um, and I performed in front of a crowd of over uh how many people was it? It was around 40 people. And that at the time was very nerve-wracking. And I did it and I had a great time. And ever since I've been doing it and I've been having a great time. And
Okay, stop. Stop.
okay,
That's
ooh,
much better. Now,
okay,
I have to hang up in a
that's
minute
fine.
or two because I've got another call I got to take.
Okay,
So, um, so what am I asking you to do? I'll
smile,
send you
think
an email if I
message.
can.
That's
But
fine.
what I'm going to ask you to do is um, the speech plan 24/7. But I'll put an or and I'll say uh, over the top and smile. And
Okay,
you can, or you can kind of do one for a while and the other for a while.
okay,
And remember, when you're doing the speech plan, you got to stop longer.
gotcha.
And
Yeah.
over the top, you cannot be too over the top. It's impossible. You can
Okay,
be the
I
fun,
will
you
work
can
on
be
that.
completely dramatic and silly. It's
Okay,
okay. And
okay, okay.
people are going to like you better
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
because you're
You're
going to
right.
come to life. Stuttering, when you're finished this, you're going to be saying, like I do, stuttering was a blessing in my life, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah,
have never done what I'm doing now.
yeah.
Never. I speak 10 times better. Now, next session, remind me. I want to hear you read. We need to read each other and
Yes.
whatever. You
Okay.
you remind me when you think the next session is. Email me
I will
and I'll
email you.
respond. I can't do
Perfect.
much right now.
All right, Lee. That sounds good.
So
This was great.
look, you're doing great, but
Okay.
you heard what we said today, and I'm going
Yes,
to send you a link to this if I can get it posted.
that's fine.
Watch it again because there's some things in here you really need to
Hone in on. Yeah.
absorb.
Mm, mm.
Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, man. Have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right.
Bye.